Well, welcome to new viewers, and welcome back to repeat viewers. This is the Player Side of the Screen video blog. If you've seen the previous video, you already know what this is all about. If you haven't, well, you should probably go watch it anyway, just to get your bearings here. Because I'm about to jump right into the video blogging section of the Player Side of the Screen for this week. I'd first like to apologize for the fact that it's a bit late. That is due to not only picking up a part-time job, but also deciding to throw my lot into this thing called NaNoWriMo. For those of you who don't know about it, it stands for National Novel Writing Month, and it's a challenge to authors to write a 50,000 word novel in 1 month. 30 days, 50,000 words. That's about 1,1700 words a day. It's a challenge. I'm definitely behind. And it's going to be taking up a good amount of my time. So if my posts start getting a little late, that's probably why. But it also got me thinking, why couldn't you do something similar for gaming itself? But see, the thing is, you don't really write novels when you game. But what do you write? I took a moment to think about that, and I realized that you write characters. You write characters' backstories, histories, personalities, and then I started just sticking stuff together and had an interesting idea. What if you were challenged to write a different character every day for an entire month? Just write up their personality, backstory, some basic stuff about them, and then compile them all together at the end of the month, and you'd have a portfolio of 30 different characters. I could see 1,500 to 1,600 words per character for a decently fleshed out character, and all of a sudden you have a lot of good material to draw from when you're making a new character. Instead of trying to come up with a concept out of nowhere, you can go to your portfolio and say, well, I kind of like this character idea, so let's pull it out and use it. I don't know, we'd have to call it somewhat catchy. National Character Backstory Month. Nachabamo. It rolls off the tongue. You can work on the title, it sounds a little silly. Anyway, that's the first part of the blog. NaNoWriMo, that whole Nachabamo. I'm kind of liking that word. Nachabamo. And the second part, as you'll recall, is where I very briefly go over a role-playing game that I own, that I've read through, and in this case, I've actually had the chance to run a game of it. This time, it's Greg Stolz's A Dirty World, which is his RPG for playing film noir. A Dirty World not only uses an interesting dice mechanic. You roll a bunch of 10-sided dice, and then you try to match the same number. You're trying to get a lot of matches, and you're trying to get matches of high numbers. But where it's really interesting is the stats system, because all of the stats in A Dirty World are things like understanding, or defiance, or courage. All character and personality traits, things that can actually change, and do change over the course of play. In fact, characters are expected to alter those stats at least once every scene, as some of them get beat down by conflicts, and others get raised by things that happen in the course of the session. And that, in fact, is the crit hit of A Dirty World. That they're able to tie in such a compelling mechanic, and that they bring the character traits to the forefront and make it something more dynamic and narrative than other games, where attributes are stats that measure your physical or mental capabilities that very seldom shift. Unfortunately, the biggest fumble of this system is the fact that it's a very skeletal system. You get past that core mechanic, And after that, there's not a whole lot of material, which is not bad, but it means that the player and the GM are really left on their own when it comes to figuring out how to set stuff up. There's a lot of places where you could have had stronger rules or even guidelines or suggestions, and it would benefit greatly from having a player's guide as well. And the place where it takes 10 is the atmosphere. It has some very nice art and nice summaries of the film noir genre, but there's a lot more that it could have gone into in terms of what noir is and fostering conflicts between the players in noir style. As it is, it somewhat glosses over that. I was just fortunate to have had a class that covered the film noir genre. So, on the whole, a very worthwhile project. It's available on PDF from DriveThruRPG and in print from Lulu, and I'll get links to you from this video. And that wraps up my first regular video blogging post, the second post period from the player's side of the screen video blog, and I look forward to seeing all of you again next week.